Oh, we do power rankings all the time.
Power rankings all the time, through the
All
roof.
the time. The best power rankings.
Yeah, and this is right. Objectively, this is going to be correct, which means we should have the same thing, and we're probably not going to. But heading into Week 5 of the 2024 NFL season, we are going to be doing power rankings of the top 10 best NFL teams. And you'll jump in with your opinions.
Yeah, it's much easier to pick apart somebody else's power ranking than to make your own. Though I did make my own.
Kicking off at number 10, I have the Houston Texans. That may surprise some. I still have faith in the Texans. They got CJ Stroud, who I think is the real deal. But I'm not fully convinced on them this year. They have a lot of offensive weapons, and it just doesn't seem like it's clicking the way I want it to, other than Nico Collins, I guess. Although I still have faith in CJ Stroud, I don't think that he is having the
sophomore year
that people thought he was going to have. They've fallen down to number 10. I'm sure they'll make their way back up eventually, but for now, got them at 10.
I don't have the Texans in the top 10.
Oh, okay. Well, so
They barely beat Chicago. They barely beat Jacksonville.
Yeah. They fucking suck. The Jacksonville's the worst team in the league,
yeah.
right? Like, honestly.
So Houston to me, it's I still like CJ Stroud, but so I don't disagree with your number 10.
I mean,
but I'm dropping him out.
Yeah, they're 3-1. I gotta have him in there. Texans number 10. Number 9, I have the Seattle Seahawks. Now, they moved down in my list, I believe, last week. If we take a look here, they were number 7, so they moved down to number 9. They moved down a couple spots, but I haven't watched a lot of them this year, except for last night's game at the time of this being filmed, and their strength was supposed to be their defense. I didn't know that their offense was very good, but watching that game, I actually looked at their offense and I thought, this is a good offense. They converted on every crucial third down. They looked great. Now, the reason they dropped is because their defense looked absolutely terrible.
Well,
they're in the top 10, though, still, because they had 5 or 6 starters out of the game on defense, so I'm still optimistic in them because their defense is supposed to be their strength, and I was actually really impressed with their offense, and if those two can come together, they could be good this year.
The old forgotten West Coast teams, that's what happens all the time. People don't pay attention to the West Coast teams, but we're sitting here in the middle of the continent, so we still see the early games, we still see the late games. I like the Seahawks. I also had them in my top 10. I have the Seahawks at number 8.
Number 8.
I was impressed with what they did against the Lions. Even though they lost by, I think, 13 points ultimately.
The final score of that game was 42-29, so 13. But it was closer than the score indicates. It's just their defense was completely beat up.
They still made your top 10, though.
Yep. Moving on to number 8. Moving down a few spots, I believe, from last week. The Pittsburgh Steelers. The fucking Steelers. I still think they have possibly the best defense in the league so far this year. There's no concerns there. Their defense is great, barring injury. But the major thing is, and we saw this on Sunday, I don't think they're a team that has the ability to come back if they get down early in a game. I mean, they almost did. But
they surprised me twice on Sunday. First off, their defense stunk to begin the game. I was watching that because I'm a little bit of a Steelers fan, so I was kind of focusing on that, thinking that the Steelers were going to kick the hell out of the Colts.
Yep.
So I was kicked back, I grabbed some beer, I was ready to go, and then what happens? Anthony Richardson marches all the way downfield like he's a seasoned veteran and makes the Steelers look like a bunch of fools. The scripted NFL, that's what I was saying at that point in time. I was like, there you go. Everybody thought the Steelers would roll over the inexperienced Richardson. No, they couldn't do it. But they also surprised me because when they finally did get behind, they actually came back pretty strong. Fields looked pretty good.
Joe Flacco came in the game.
Matt Ryan, Joe Flacco. What's the difference at these points? Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle.
They're all the same.
They're all basically the same. Every so often they have a good game, and you're like, wow, remember when? And they stink it up the next time they play. But they're better than Skylar motherfucking Thompson, I'll tell you that.
Oh, let's not even get started on that abomination. I debated taking Tyreek Hill in fantasy this year. Well, no, I didn't debate it. I was going to take him, but luckily somebody took him before I got the chance to. Because he fucking sucks with the quarterback that he has.
Tyreek is finished.
Tyreek's finished.
Washed!
Moving on. Number 7, I have the Mafia. The
Bills?
Buffalo Bills. Yep. they've dropped quite a bit. They were number 2 and debatably won last week.
God, we all thought everybody was ready to hand them the Super Bowl last week.
Yeah, but now getting crushed by the Ravens, the thing you got to look at is, okay, so who did they beat in their first 3 games? The Cardinals, who we had some optimism in, but are looking to be probably one of the worst teams as of right now. They beat the Dolphins, who are one of the worst teams in the league right now, injuring Tua in that game, and then they beat
Jacksonville.
The Jaguars, who are probably the worst team.
And 5 people, whoever's remaining out of the killings that just went on outside our place, could throw together a team and beat Jacksonville.
I mean, put together a team, and that's it. We would beat Jacksonville, so they suck.
I don't see a problem there.
I think the Blue Bombers could probably beat the Jaguars at this rate.
I thought the Cardinals would be good this year.
They still got a chance. Anyways, Bills. They really showed that their receivers maybe aren't good enough to be able to get it done against the good teams, the good defenses specifically. And heading into the season, I actually had some concerns about the Bills' defense, which, kind of just got destroyed by Derrick Henry, who is the best running back in the league right now. Forget about Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, yeah, I have forgotten about him. Bills, what did you have, Matt? Number 7?
Yeah.
Oh, in my rankings, I had him at number 7 also, the Bills.
Bills number 7. Moving on. Number 6, I have, moving up, the Commanders. The Washington Commanders.
Interesting.
They are on a 3-game winning streak.
Yep.
Jaden Daniels, I mean, he's looking like the offensive rookie of the year right now.
They're setting records, these guys. That's some insane statistic where they had like 16 straight drives with ending in points, not including
I think
end of the half ones, where the drive is shortened because of time constraints. I don't know, less interceptions than I don't know. I don't know what all the stats are, but
less interceptions than Mahomes. Well, everybody is right now. So Commanders, they're on a 3-game winning streak. Their offense has looked really good. Still some questions on their defense.
Well, thank goodness they traded Montez Sweat away last year. I bet they couldn't use him right now. They got some draft picks. I'm not even sure. They got some draft picks or whatever from Chicago, so they're rebuilding. Their defense will be fine, I think.
I mean, they didn't do bad. They only allowed 14 points against the Cardinals, so that's not as bad as I had initially thought, actually. But
they let Cliff Kingsbury take over the offense, and they'll go from there. I believe in the Commanders, actually. I have them in my ranking. I have them all the way up to number 5. So I have them even higher than you.
One spot ahead of, and I could totally see them being at 5. I think they look like they're going to win that division right now. It's still early, but as of now, Coming in at number 5, following the Commanders at 6, I have a team with a worse record than every single team I have said so far, the Baltimore Ravens. I don't even think they were in my list last week. Again, this week they showed me exactly what they can be this year. And that's the same exact team they were last year, with the addition of Derrick Henry, absolutely crushing the Bills, who everybody thought was the best team in the league. And to me, that's the Ravens we saw from last year, who were by far the best team in the league.
This is what the Ravens have always been. Run the ball, except they can't find a running back that can stay healthy for whatever reason.
Yeah, and they've solved that. And
then what's his name, Harbaugh, was definitely... He was playing the media and playing, a lot of these guys, they don't come out and tell you. They're like politicians. Where are they going to come out and tell you their game plan all the time? Because remember early in the year, after the first game against the Chiefs, and they were all interviewing Harbaugh, why didn't you use Derrick Henry very much? Well, we see him as maybe a 12 to 13 touch guy. No, you don't. No. You know damn well why you got him, and you signed him. The guy is one of the best running backs, I think, of all time when all is said and done with this guy. The Ravens
I think a 30-year-old running back with 199 yards and 25 carries says otherwise to what John Harbaugh thought originally.
This guy is an outlier. He's an outlier. Like a lot of times when you look at a 28, 29, 30-year-old running back, you're kind of ready.
They're starting to fall.
Finished, right?
I mean, he's on pace to get 2,000 yards right now rushing and 20 touchdowns. I have done the math, so...
Well, I'm afraid I kind of agree with you because where did you have the Ravens in at number 5?
Yeah.
I have the Ravens at number 3. That's how much I believe in the Ravens because I think they're 2-2 right now.
They're 2-2, but every other
team. But they were very close with Kansas. And this is your Super Bowl champion, so that means something, right? It's not like they beat up on Carolina or stuff like that. They went against Buffalo, who's supposed to be one of the
played some good
favorites.
teams,
They
yeah.
beat them. They came very close to Kansas City. And I don't see who else they played because I didn't have them on my previous top 10.
So number 5, the Ravens. Now coming in at number 4, like I said, for the objective list. Okay, it's subjective. It's not objective, but actually I have the Bucks.
Still got the Bucks.
I have the Bucks, and this may surprise some, but
I know.
it's a list of how good teams have played this year. And they lost one bad game, all right, whatever.
Yeah,
but every other game, they've been dominant offensively and defensively, and it's not been against, like, terrible teams.
I was so disappointed in that game they lost, though, I guess.
Because it was the Broncos.
Yeah. Well, and then the Broncos beat the Jets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
10-9. I
yeah.
don't know if that's even anything to look at, but
Yes.
yeah, the Bucks, just based off of 4 games, they've looked actually great. Aside from the one game, if they won that, they'd be in my top 3 right now.
That was scripted NFL, though.
Yeah, that was exactly.
Everybody in the world bet on the Bucks. I bet on the Bucks. I
Yeah.
put money down on the Bucks. I'm like, okay, this is my one lock of the week. For sure, they're going to beat Denver. But every time you have, you say to yourself, it's a lock of the week.
Yeah, then it's not.
You can count on the fact that
Yeah.
the scripted NFL is going to pop up.
And that's going to happen multiple times every single week. So, yeah, number 4 is where I had the Bucks. Did you have them?
I don't have the Bucks in my top 10 at all. They can get
Oh,
the hell
boy.
out of here.
Looks all right.
That's how disgusting. I know they beat the Lions and whoever they beat last. Well,
Yeah.
they beat the Eagles. That's another one. I didn't expect that.
Well,
I thought
exactly.
the
That's
Eagles
what
were
I'm
going to
talking
destroy
about.
them.
That's what I'm talking about. The Bucks are pretty good. They beat the Eagles, the Lions.
Washington.
Yeah, Washington. That's why I had to look at that and say, well, they're
I don't
ahead of the
know.
Commanders.
I guess I'm just so pissed off that they lost the game that I really wanted them to win.
Well, you know what?
They're out of my top 10.
You know what?
Hit their own.
Baker Mayfield, he wants to go in there and run a fun offense, and that's why he hasn't won any Super Bowls.
Nobody's walking the plank with this Buccaneer team.
Nope. And that's why they won't win the Super Bowl. Coming in at number 3, we have...
Is this
No, this isn't a big surprise. I don't know why I did that.
I don't know why you did that either.
The Detroit Lions at number 3.
Well,
I think the big thing is their defense has improved a lot from last season. It's still not like the best defense in the league or anything like that. I mean, it didn't look great against the Seahawks. For as much as the Lions were able to just do whatever they wanted offensively to the Seahawks, the Seahawks were kind of able to do the same
Seahawks
to a
have-
lesser extent to
Seahawks
the
have
Lions.
a pretty good offense. Geno Smith can get it done. They got
Yeah.
Metcalf. They got Njigba or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
They still got Lockett in there for you. They got a
Yeah.
tight end that's good. They got yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
The Seahawks are just quietly doing their thing out there. So yes, that's
Yeah,
the fact they couldn't do as well against the Seahawks as you thought they should have.
yeah.
I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah, no. Well, I was. That's why the Seahawks. That's why earlier on I talked about the Seahawks offense surprising me. But I won't be if they do that next week. I made the mistake earlier on this year of saying I don't think they have a quick striking offense that can get points quick. And they totally proved me wrong with that Jamison Williams touchdown and a few other like quick 1, 2, 3 plays down the field and points. So
If they keep running the ball and playing well, I think you could see this Jamison Williams get 3 or 4 of these 60-yard plus touchdowns this year. The guy's got
yeah, I
speed
mean,
to
he's
burn.
looking good. Lions at number 3.
I got the Lions in at number 4, by the way. Well, it looks like we all know who number 1 and 2 are going to be.
Yeah, and this is pretty self-explanatory. This could be 1A, 1B. You can switch them around, but I have the Vikings at number 2. I mean, they're an all-around. They're a legit team. Like they're not beating up on bad teams. Like they're beating good teams. They beat the 49ers. They beat the Texans, who I think they're a little fraudulent, but still, Texans are a top 10 team. They beat the Packers, who are my prediction to go to the Super Bowl on the NFC side this year. So
And they were kicking the hell out of the Packers.
yeah, they let the Packers
They
make
let
a
the
late.
Packers back in that game. Make no mistake.
Yeah, and that's partially one of the reasons why I decided they're just slightly below my number 1 team. I don't think their defense is bad. They've looked like one of the best defenses in the league this year, but perhaps maybe it was just a bunch of garbage time and the Vikings let it get a little too close, but perhaps the Vikings defense showed a little bit of flaws against that Packers offense in the second half. I don't know. We'll see going forward.
Yeah. sometimes you get into this rope-a-dope thing. I mean, the Packers did get their touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Well, they got one in the third, and they got a couple in the fourth quarter there to make it close and all that. So, by that time, the Vikings were probably switching the way they play defense.
Yeah,
they were just allowing them to kill time, but it almost bit them in the butt. So.
Yeah, so I think we'll see in coming weeks if they actually maybe have some concerns on the defense. And number 1, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm sticking with what I've been saying all year. They haven't been winning pretty games. They still have a top defense in the league this year, but until they lose, the Super Bowl champs are going to remain at number 1. So, there you go.
You know what? I can't disagree with most of that. I actually, I'm surprised how many of ours were similar.
Yeah.
Except I moved the Vikings up to number 1.
I
think the Vikings have been pretty damn good, and the Chiefs.
I'm close.
Like, is that Chiefs defense underrated or what? Like, how many?
I don't think they're underrated anymore. People know they're one of the top defenses now.
How many times do these guys just? It seems like they're not playing. And then you just like they're down 10-0, and then you look up again at the clock just as the game's going by, and there's like 5 minutes left in the game. And you're like, they still are at 10 points. The opponent.
Yeah, that goes to Spagnuolo. The adjustments, I think.
Yeah.
That happened so many times last year where they had 17 points put up on them in the first half, and then from there, complete shutout. But barring the turnovers, the Chiefs would have had a shutout against the Chargers. So,
all right, there's your rankings.